As Iraq marks 1 year since Islamic State was driven out of the war-torn country, Iraqi Christians in New Zealand are hailing their own war hero. Auckland-based Fr Douglas Al-Bazi was kidnapped and tortured by Islamic terrorists before running a refugee centre for thousands of people fleeing religious persecution and threats of brutal murder. He now lives in Papatoetoe as chaplain to the Catholic Chaldean community here and is preparing to travel around the country to conduct Christmas celebrations. But he says his people back home are suffering a genocide and discriminated against when trying to gain refugee status and reach countries like New Zealand. Our reporter Alex Perrottet and cameraman Nick Monroe have this exclusive story.
So the bomb actually just blew and I found myself, even with this elephant body actually, but the bomb pushed me on air couple meters away. They just loaded like that, and click, click, you know, with empty one, and I hear one of them, he said, "Bring the hammer." So suddenly something hit in my face, and I realized that there is one of the teeth inside. When I found the blood, and one of them, he said, "Don't worry, you have a lot of teeth, and we have all the night."
In the midst of yet another violent war, Fr Douglas Al-Bazi left Iraq in 2016 to become chaplain to New Zealand's Chaldean Catholic community. He returned once in 2017 to visit his parents and brother and reached the ruined city of Mosul as Islamic State were being finally forced out. But now he says it's too dangerous to go back. Iraq is a country where war is a way of life and where any hiatus between violent foreign invasions is feared even more. 200,000 civilians have been killed in the last 15 years as armies fight insurgents and coalitions of Western forces get involved in a centuries-long fight within factions of the Muslim world. The United Nations says it's staggering. Millions upon millions have been displaced, many fleeing the country and living in foreign camps, others remaining as refugees in their own country without any United Nations help. And amongst the rubble, caught in the crossfires, huddled in their ruined churches, are Iraq's religious minorities. Fr Douglas says Christians, as well as the ethnic and religious Yazidis, predate Islam in Iraq, but now they are dying out.
When the last war started, we thought that is the time freedom will come to Iraq. But day by day, actually, it was just only dream. And that dream, in reality, became nightmares, even daymares.
The shock and awe of the American invasion toppled Saddam Hussein, but left a power vacuum during which insurgents started targeting their own. One by one, churches were bombed. But when even lapsed Christians flocked to church to show their solidarity, extremists turned their weapons on pastors like Fr Douglas.
Me, myself, I was one of the people actually was waving to American soldiers when they get into Baghdad. I thought that's the time to changing, time that we will see people can have passports and visas and travel and have a picnic vacation and to have satellite, cell phones, internet access easy, free speeching, freedom of religion, everything. And we were just actually a dream. One by one, they start attacking priest because attack the shepherd, so the sheep will escape. And they open fire against us toward the church, and I got shot by AK-47, and still the bullet is still in my leg.
But none of these attacks could prepare Fr Douglas for what came next. Suspicion of religious minorities and a desperate desire for ransom money led to clergy being targeted. He was beaten, bundled into a boot of a car with a blindfold forced around his head. Disoriented and dazed, bloodied and bruised from a knee kicking him in the face, he was taken into a house and left in an old toilet room for 9 days, the first 4 days without any food or water.
They took me to the ugly XWC, and it was really stinky, and it was my cage. Each time when the night came, they took me to another room that they were sitting, smoke. I called that ugly room also because they are watching Quran, one of the channel, Quran, showing Quran 24 hours. And especially when I go there, just they make it louder. Sometimes I know that they are going to took me to that room when they make it the voice louder. And I told them why you are doing this. And they say, just in case if you are going to shout, no one will hear your voice. And also to showing to the neighbors that we are religious people, we are listening to Quran 27 hours. And no one will hear us. Smart people.
But the mild-mannered priest says his faith gave him confidence and he was able to cut through his fear and reach out to his captors.
Each day they took me to the ugly room, a lot of a question, they hit me a lot. They bring me back. The day follow, because the day group, they came to me, ask for forgiveness. And they were asking me a lot of questions. I remember one of them, he was asking me, because his wife actually called him and he said, she's always keeping calling me during the day, how many times? And I must tell him, come on, be nice with her. Time to time, text her, tell her, good morning, honey, how are you today? Like that. They will like this, you know. So I'm more spiritual father to them. So I told them, I'm going to consider myself, I am with you as a picnic. It was completely wrong to say picnic to the terrorist people. And they hit me here, again to my face. And they hit my back and they broke the disc in my back. And each time in my life when something happened, I just ask myself, you know, when I complain for anything in my life, when I complain, just remind myself, do you remember what happened those 9 days? Oh, yeah, okay, so I take my life easy, you know. Some injured, actually, maybe they cure, but what they call that, will remain forever.
The scars?
The scars will remain forever.
Those scars still remain here in New Zealand. He always sleeps with a bottle of water next to his bed and often has the lights on. But true to Iraq's history, the next conflict was only around the corner, and before he had time to recover or process what happened, a new and more insidious enemy arose. Islamic State. They stormed through cities, inciting fear and forcing people of other faiths to either convert, pay huge fines, or flee for their lives. Shocking videos surfaced of the violent insurgents beheading and crucifying their victims. In Father Douglas's northern Iraqi town of Erbil, 125,000 Christians and Yazidis arrived literally overnight.
We were actually, you know, just receiving people without asking. For example, if you are Anglican or Catholic or Yazidis or those people, all of them, they are just looking for a life. Day by day, you start, you know, to do the breakfast, lunch, dinner. Put the schedule. Sometime we were just, you know, hitting our head that what we will have tomorrow. Maybe we don't have eggs for tomorrow, what we'll have soup or same soup or same rice or those days they were really terrible. But the only thing was keep people alive. They were think that and believe we will have tomorrow. I never met with people, even single person, complain or blame God to what happened. even single one. No one blamed. Sometimes when I meet some people here in New Zealand, sometimes they complain even when they got flu. Oh my God, I got flu. So I'm just giving them that look like it's just a flu. Just a flu.
In Erbil, Father Douglas realised the pressing needs were food, water and shelter, but he also knew he couldn't stop there. Children needed a focus, adults needed a purpose, and he began his own regime, a makeshift tent city that he refused to call a camp, but rather a collection of 26 different centres. And because people were fleeing persecution within their own country, he says the United Nations refused to recognise them as refugees and could not help. He says all the assistance came from church organisations as well as private donors, who were so generous that others started raising their eyebrows at what kind of donations they received.
I remember when I bring tablet, and here some people, they will hear me, tablet in centers, in the camp for refugee, for kids, 4 years, you are destroying them. Say, wait. Why people they are, when they need, that we have to give them, this is what happened. Rich people give expensive gifts to the rich people. But when we talk about poor people, we give them what is left, what is the bad things left from us, we give them to the poor people.
Why?
It's shame. It's shame. That's why in Iraq or in Arab countries, what is missing there, they don't have leaders. Those actually, we cannot actually find them in supermarket. We have to raise them from now.
Here in New Zealand, Father Douglas cares for 300 Iraqi Chaldean Catholic families, some of them refugees. He says discrimination against religious minorities like Christians and Yazidis doesn't end when they flee Iraq. He says they wait in refugee camps in bordering countries where they are pushed down the bottom of the visa queue when trying to move to countries like New Zealand. New Zealand now receives 1,000 refugees through the United Nations each year and has committed to taking more, but is actually taking less and less from the Middle East. Since 2017, New Zealand only received 8 Iraqis, compared to 211 from Colombia and 265 from Myanmar. Father Douglas says his people are desperate and no less deserving. Since 2015, the number of Christians in Iraq has halved, and he wants the UN to recognise that as a genocide. He says countries like New Zealand can and should do more to help.
New Zealand is the worst country actually restricted with the refugee. Never. They don't actually want. And many countries, they close their gates. For my people, I'm just telling, yes, we can help. Please, my people, they are under systematic genocide. They are suffering there. And even we are 300 here. With the help of the government, help of the church, local church here, we can receive more people. And this is, at least this is our right to live. So please save our people.
And that is Father Douglas Al-Bazi ending that report from Alex Perrottet and Nick Monroe.